Hello and welcome to Westergoss. This is NME's weekly show where we discuss the latest episode of Game of Thrones. We just watched episode 3. I'm Dan Stubbs. This is
Larry Bartleet.
Larry Bartleet, NME's very own three-eyed raven, who bring in his theories and deep knowledge of all things Game of Thrones. So episode 3, it was called The Queen's Justice.
The Queen's Justice.
Which it had two meanings, didn't it?
It did. So the first one, the one that I thought immediately was when Cersei encountered the Sand Snakes and had her way with them. And then also Daenerys on the other side being kind of kind to Jon Snow.
Two very different takes on justice, those two.
Yeah.
But I mean, we need to talk about what's happened in the episode first. We've got to start at the end though. So that was last week's episode ended with kind of battle, fire, bloodshed. This one was kind of a very different type of ending.
Yeah.
It was just a really kind of satisfying sort of a little plot reveal for us all, wasn't it?
And a great goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably more of that later. So recap quickly for us what happened in this episode then.
Okay. So I mentioned Cersei already. I think that was one of the kind of big points of the episode was her getting her prisoners, so Yara, Greyjoy, and the two Sands, Ilaria and Tyene. And we don't really know what happened with Yara at the moment. She's presumably just being held prisoner now. But both the Sands obviously got tortured, and one of them is being tortured and one of them is being killed for killing Cersei's daughter Myrcella.
It was like Christmas Day for Cersei, this, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If Tyrion was in the mix too, that would have been just the greatest thing that ever happened to her.
Yeah.
She came up with quite an amazing method of torture for the Sand Snakes, which was to sort of watch. What's the older one called?
Ilaria.
The mother. Yeah. She just has to watch her daughter die and then rot to a bone in front of her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really gruesome.
I just think I'd scoop my eyeballs out.
Really?
Life's not going to get any better there, is it? So just kind of get one up on her.
Maybe that's the torture, like self-inflicted.
Well,
sword
exactly.
style.
Yeah. But and Cersei did say in this, I lie in bed and I stare at the canopy and I imagine ways of killing my enemies. That's how she spends her nights. Which is, and she delivered on that. That's really a well thought out method of torture.
Yeah.
What else happened? What was the next thing?
The next thing I would say is Greyworm attacking Castle Rock with the Unsullied and trying to take it and succeeding, but also being foiled because most of the Lannister army is somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
that was a short but sweet battle scene.
Yeah.
With excellent narration from Tyrion.
Yeah, I thought that was really interestingly shot and put together. But now Daenerys is sort of screwed over because her armies are just sort of like, one of them is at the other side of Westeros. Yeah. The other one has been crushed, or the whole navy's been crushed.
They're very much in the wrong place.
Yeah. Which I think maybe she needed, sort of sobering time for her. Yeah. She came in all ballsy and now she's like, actually needs some help maybe.
Her answer to everything's a bit like, well, I've got some dragons, what are you going to do about it?
So maybe she's going to actually use them next week.
She's not even seen the catapult yet either.
Oh, yeah.
Last week's catapult.
Yeah.
The Dragon Slayer. What else happened?
Euron Greyjoy tried to get Cersei to marry him again.
Yeah.
And she said when the war's over. So
I mean, he is a charmer.
He is a funny guy, isn't he?
He's got the lines, hasn't he?
But yeah, I don't think there was that much about him really. Just sort of, he's still at the bidding of Cersei. Yeah, he really likes to wind up Jaime Lannister as well. Yeah, that's one of my favourite things about this series so far. Is just his exchanges with Jaime.
Yeah. I think he's been a good. I know we saw him last series, but I think he's been a good addition to this series. He's like a good new, like kind of lovable villain.
I like him more than Ramsay. I think. I mean, obviously no one liked Ramsay, but he's a funny sort of line between.
Yeah, because Euron really takes delight in it.
Yeah,
he takes delight in how much of a bastard he is. It's quite fun to watch.
Sort of like the Hound before he went nice, I guess. Jaime and Cersei have a kind of weird relationship now. Yeah. Because remember in the first episode she refused to discuss Tommen's suicide with him, and now she's just all about keeping power. And then obviously Euron promising to marry Euron sort of put him off a bit. And then there's this kind of weird sex scene where she sort of forces him. I mean,
a sex scene involving a brother and sister. It's already kind of weird, but yeah, weirder than normal. It's odd.
And then she reveals it to her servant, and he just seems kind of unhappy with her. So I think that's
they've kept this secret for quite a long time. It's the worst kept secret in Westeros, basically. But so it seems like a weird time to change it now.
Yeah.
Cersei might have lost it.
Yeah. She's also broke.
Yeah, and obviously a Lannister always pays their debts. They have nothing to pay debts with until probably the end of this episode.
Yeah, which we'll come on to.
Yeah. This seems like they probably just got a little cash injection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what else? Bran returned.
Yeah, Bran returned, changed.
Yeah.
He's no emotions at all.
He reminded me of, when you get back from Glastonbury.
Yeah.
People go, what was it like? And you're just sort of in a faraway place and you can't really.
Yeah.
It was a bit like that. Like, he was
There's just nothing there.
Yeah, it was strange, wasn't he?
There's like everything there, actually.
Just seen too many things.
Yeah.
He had that very strange conversation with Sansa.
Yeah. So he brings up her, like, the worst moment of her life, probably, which is her wedding night to Ramsay Bolton. And just doesn't really seem to know why that causes such upset.
Yeah. I think it's become. He is the three-eyed raven. He's sort of. You would think he's talking a lot of shit. Unless if you didn't believe him about this stuff, he could easily prove it because he knew about all these things. But he does seem to be talking a lot of shit. If you were Sansa, you'd be thinking,
yeah. I think maybe he chose that night because it proves that he can see everything that's happening. I don't really know. Also, he was at the Heart Tree, presumably. Yeah. Which is where the wedding was. So maybe that's why he knows so much detail about it. I don't know. And
possibly Arya's still on her way back there, unless she's changed her mind and decided not to go.
Yeah.
Just as Jon's gone. It's annoying, isn't it? It's like a farce, like they just can't all get together.
Yeah. She's missed, like, Rob and Catelyn at the Red Wedding. Then her Aunt Lysa and Sansa, and then now Jon again. So, but yeah, she's still on her way, I think.
And what else? There's a really good scene, wasn't there, with Sam, Jorah, and the Archmaester. Now that cure really worked, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
He was looking a lot healthier than last week. When I don't mind admitting, I could barely even watch that without. I was sort of felt myself gagging when I was watching the scabs being picked. I like to pick a scab as much as the next man, but that was the next level. I think.
Yeah, that was surgical scab picking.
Gross. So, but what does this mean? 'Cause he's already. I mean, he declared his love to Daenerys in that letter, didn't he? He's already sort of told her that he's on his way out, and now he's got to do that kind of. Oh, I'm fine actually.
Yeah, well, I think he did
sheepishly turn up, hasn't he?
I think he didn't send that letter.
Right.
But,
Okay.
Well, I hope he didn't, because that'd be a bit odd. But he's going to be back. He's going to be going to Dragonstone to find Daenerys, and presumably meeting Jon and saying that Sam killed him, which would be nice for Jon, hearing about his friend. And
mentioning Jon, should we move on to our big moment of the week?
Yes.
So let's have a quick look. This is a hint at what we think is the big moment of the week. See what you think. So, this is the meeting. I was thinking this. They probably only met each other, Daenerys and Jon, or the actors behind them, at kind of like cast parties and promotional. They've been in different places the whole time.
Yeah.
This was the big meeting, and the air was full of tension.
Was there chemistry, do you think?
I think there was a little bit of chemistry, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a long-awaited thing. It's been hyped up. And we just got it at the beginning of the episode, which I wasn't really expecting. And it kind of delivered, I think. Like, both of them held their ground. There's tension there. It's going to be an interesting relationship over the course of the season, I think.
It was a standoff, but they were each completely true to their character, which is good. And then they kind of had that little meeting again outside. I think I can sense something bubbling up between those two,
Yeah. I think they respect each other, definitely, and that's quite an important thing.
I think they're going to be in love, Larry.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, I've said this every week.
It's just going to happen.
She is his aunt. It's weird.
They don't mind about that kind of thing over there.
Yeah. Okay.
You think that you have a little three-eyed raven theory about about what happened outside.
This is like the worst kept secret in Game of Thrones, which is that Jon's mother is in fact Ned Stark's sister, Lyanna, and his father is Rhaegar Targaryen, because there's this whole like old story about how she was kidnapped by Daenerys' brother Rhaegar about 20 years ago or whenever. And so that's been like the theory among fans for ages, and HBO have kind of confirmed it with this sort of family tree, which we can show you on the screen now. But there's been many hints, and Bran saw the birth of Jon, and so he now knows who the father is, and he was coming to Winterfell to tell Jon, and then Jon's not there, so Jon has no idea that he is Rhaegar Targaryen's son.
Right.
But there's a point in this episode where Jon says, Daenerys says, we all like what we're good at, or we all enjoy what we're good at, and he says, I don't. Talking about killing, presumably, because that's all he's
brooding.
Good at, really. Yeah, brooding and killing people. And there's a point in a previous season where Barristan Selmy, who was Daenerys' old advisor, general guy, said Rhaegar never liked killing people, he liked music, which I don't think Jon Snow likes, but he also doesn't like killing. So,
what do you think Jon Snow would like if he liked music?
I don't know, probably like metal.
Right.
He'd be like one of those sort of quiet metal types.
Okay, all right, yeah.
No?
Maybe. I was thinking, I don't know, The Killers or something.
Oh.
And so that was the big moment of the week. That story's going to run and run. That love will blossom.
Yeah, we're going to see more of that.
What I especially like about when Jon has to sort of get people on side is that he just seems completely mad because he has to try and convince them that there's an army of dead people coming for him, and people just... Like, they live in a world where dragons are flying around, but the very idea about this army of dead people they think is incomprehensible.
There was also a point where Davos stopped himself from being like, well, he took a stabbing in the heart, and he's like, oh, it was just a figure of speech. He's not actually dead and then come back again. Because I think that would obviously be too crazy for everyone. They'd be like, oh God, these guys are...
I am also
jokers.
Dead, by the way. Yeah. So, what a moment there. And then I guess we should probably move on to the hero.
Hero of the week.
Yeah.
Or heroine, you could say.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at her.
Olenna. If you're going to die, that was the way of doing it, wasn't
She's
it?
so badass. Like, the most badass character probably in the whole show.
It was so this. I mean, let's explain. So we obviously you've just watched it, but Jaime poisons Olenna, and she, in the time it takes her to die, manages to say that, oh, by the way, I was the one that poisoned your son, Joffrey.
Accidentally, with a horrible, really nasty poison that makes you blind.
I remember at the time thinking this death could be worse.
Yeah.
Like I was annoyed about it.
Really?
I thought he got away with it. Really, but you know.
You watched it all in one go, didn't you?
Yeah.
So you're just breezing through it. I suppose you hated him more then.
Yeah. I mean, I liked him. I liked him as well. I liked his. He was a good character, but I would have. I think he could have died a more horrible way. But she got, in Game of Thrones terms, a nice death, some sort of friendly poison that Jaime had taken up there, and there just dropped this massive bombshell, which again kind of plays into this whole tension with Jaime, because he thinks that, Cersei thinks that Tyrion killed Joffrey. He kind of thinks that as well, does he? Or certainly not anymore.
I think he didn't really believe it, but now he definitely knows it wasn't Tyrion.
Yeah.
Because he always used to visit Tyrion in his cell back in when Tyrion was on trial.
And big implications for this. So they've basically just taken the Tyrell's castle and all of their
mega riches. Yeah. Cool little castle as well. It was like on a hill with a garden around it.
Yeah.
Didn't get much.
No wonder they left like crappy old castle. Yeah. And so that was the hero of the week.
Yeah.
Loser of the week. Now I know you've chosen
Bran.
Yeah. I would also he didn't have enough time, but also definitely Theon he could be loser in every week.
Yeah.
He was just bobbing around in the water, wasn't he?
And then when he got on a boat, no one looked after him.
Yeah, they don't like him.
Poor little Theon.
But he's had some tough times, so he has a lot to deal with. But Bran, you think because of what we discussed? Well,
I just feel like he's lost his. He's not Bran Stark anymore.
Yeah.
Like he said, he's the three-eyed raven. So, I worry about him because he's lost all his humanity, and so now he's the sort of like omniscient, like know-it-all
He
figure.
did this sort of like hug that when two people have fallen out and one hasn't really forgiven the other one.
He's just like
he just didn't sort of moved. I know he can't move from the waist down, but
he could put a bit
of effort in.
Yeah, but he's just completely nothing there.
Yeah. So that was our loser of the week. Now, be our three-eyed raven, or rather our Reddit scourer.
Yeah.
This is a good theory you've got this week.
It's a good theory. I mean,
it's a deep theory. I'm into it.
It's really deep, and it combines two different theories. So,
can you explain this?
I'm going to explain it step by step,
carefully,
in a concise way.
Right.
Yeah. So the first theory is to do with a prophecy that Cersei got told when she was a young girl, and she got told that she would marry a king, and not the prince that she was meant to marry. So she was meant to marry Rhaegar Targaryen, who was Jon Snow's dad, and she didn't. She married Robert Baratheon instead, which then came true. She was told she'd have 20 children with this king. Oh no, the king would have 20 children and she would have 3, and their hair would all be blonde, which is true because he had loads of bastard children. And another part was that she'd be murdered by the Valonqar, which is this Valyrian word for little brother. And people think that might be Jaime.
Yeah.
So all of this prophecy is to do with Jaime killing Cersei, but I
said it was good.
It is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like his hand will be wrapped around your throat, and that's how you'll die.
Yeah.
So
No,
he's got
tell
that
us
weird
about his
golden
hand.
hand.
He has a golden hand.
He has a golden hand. Now that's significant because there's another prophecy. I'm a bit confused by this myself, so I'll try and get through this. But yeah, the prince that was promised, which we touched on last week.
Harry Potter and the prince that was promised.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those. This is from the religion that Melisandre is in. There's a prophecy that Azor Ahai, which is like their legendary Jesus sort of figure, will come back and have a flaming sword and beat back the White Walkers, or the Great Other, called it. And the translation of the Lord of Light, which is their overall lord, has the same words. I've actually not written them down, but basically in High Valyrian, apparently the word for lord and light is the same, almost the same, as the word for golden and hand.
Right.
And Jaime kind of jokingly called himself Golden Hand.
I'm spinning here.
Yeah? Your world turning. So the idea is that like this phrase Golden Hand got like sort of interpolated or like mixed by like scribes or something over the ages and turned into Lord of Light instead of Golden Hand. And actually the prophecy is about someone with a golden hand who will beat back the Great Other, and they're the prince that was promised. So the idea of this theory is that Jaime is both the Valonqar of Cersei's theory and the prince that was promised, and he's going to kill Cersei with the flaming sword, but also strangle her. So it's a little bit confused.
It's the hand.
The hand.
The
hand is
sword
supposedly
is a metaphor for the hand.
Yeah. This is what the theory says.
It's a great scene, isn't it?
Yeah, and the flaming hand idea is in Game of Thrones when Jojen Reed. This is from like season 4 or something. Jojen Reed was asked how was it all going to end, and he had a vision of his hand on fire, his right hand, and Jaime's right hand is the one that's golden and fake. So do you like that? Is it too complex?
I think that's great. I mean, is it too complex? Firstly, I'm impressed that you did all of that off the top of your head, which was quite amazing. Even the words.
Yeah, well, I didn't get the golden hand.
But no, I think that's great. And also, so the Lord of Light. This is, if I'm correct, this is who Melisandre worships.
Yes.
So this, in theory, means that Melisandre worships Jaime Lannister.
Possibly.
Right.
She thinks that Jon Snow or Daenerys Targaryen is the chosen one, the prince that was promised. Because it's actually a genderless word in High Valyrian. It's all very geeky stuff.
It's quite a cool twist on the series, because Jaime is someone that we hated when the series started. For a few seasons, we couldn't stand him. Then over time, he's now, he's one of everyone's favourite characters. He's really likeable. He's kind of honourable within the parameters of what he thinks is okay.
Yeah, sure.
But and Melisandre, we should mention, she had this kind of weird chat with
Varys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was like, I've got to get the fuck out of here because Davos is going to kill me if he sees me, essentially.
Yeah.
So she said she'd be leaving, but then she'd come back and die in Westeros the last time she comes to Westeros.
Yeah.
And she said Varys is also going to die in Westeros. And he looked a bit shifty at that point. Do you remember old seasons where he talks about his magical experiences?
I remember he had a man in a box like we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man in a box.
Yeah.
Not really. So yeah, when he got castrated, the wizard like burnt his balls, and, and a voice came out of the fire. He heard something in the fire.
The voice of the balls.
And he never told anyone what it said, but presumably it's something to do with the fact that he's going to die in Westeros, or something else.
Yeah.
But
so his balls told him
that he's going to die.
They were burning. Like, the rest of you will burn one day too, or something like that.
Just a little face drawn on.
Right. I mean, it's handy for these people knowing at least where they need to go to die. If I was Melisandre, I'd just avoid the place.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then you inevitably end up there through your the sort of hubristic avoidance of it. So.
It's all gone fatalistic. It's all been written, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well.
So that's all the theories.
Yeah.
I think it's time for quotes of the week.
Quotes of the week. Yeah. Go on. What's your quote of the week?
My quote of the week is, I got a few. Olenna, he really was a cunt, wasn't he? That was after she asked what the sword's name was. And was told it was a widow's wail.
The way you say it's a bit nice, though. It's like, I think this series, they seem to have realised that people really enjoy it when they say the word cunt at least once an episode. Yeah. People really like it. So.
Yeah, I think on American TV it's a lot more risque than it is here.
Yeah. People don't use it as a term of endearment quite so much.
No.
Okay, I'll hit you back with they just like severed heads, really. That was Euron when he was trying to say to Jaime, it doesn't matter who dies.
Yeah.
You or me.
That was a good bit.
But the best one was we were talking about it's our old pal Littlefinger, isn't it?
Yeah, so he did quite a long, good quote to Sansa where he said, I'm just going to cut it short, have a little bit of it. In your mind, everyone is your enemy. Everyone is your friend. Every possible series of events is happening all at once. Live that way and nothing will surprise you. Everything that happens will be something you've seen before.
Which sort of explains his whole MO, I think.
Yeah.
Because he tries to be friends with everyone, but he isn't. And I guess it sort of explains why Bran's gone all post-Glastonbury, because he knows that everything's happening all at once. He's seen the past and the future and the present. He kind of...
Yeah.
It's blown his mind.
Yeah, well, I feel like he just knows... Yeah, he just knows everything that could happen. Yeah, so you're right, yeah.
So, but Littlefinger sees that, and he just sees opportunity.
Yeah, he's like the best chess player.
Yeah. But we should say, I think Sansa will get the better of him. I've got to say, Sansa's kind of emerging as the strong leader, the sort of inheritor to her mother, who was a kind of well-respected leader up north.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, sort of telling people to put leather on armour and stuff like that.
From
Get some bushels of wheat from...
Yeah. And she's in charge while Jon's away. Offered it to Bran. He doesn't want it because he's the Raven now.
Yeah.
He's off with the Ravens. So, that was this week.
Yeah.
Did you think it was a good episode, a bad episode, a great episode?
I think it was a really good episode. I think one of the themes of it was like what goes around comes around. So we had the poisoned sand snakes. We had Tyrion, who, you know, the job he got in the building the sewers of Castle Rock, he got to use that to his advantage. Jaime, the failure that he got beaten by Robb's army by sort of being tricked into attacking somewhere. He pulled that trick on Daenerys. And then Olenna Tyrell gets poisoned, having poisoned Joffrey. So it was kind of...
That's very true.
I didn't even pick up on link. But yeah, justice.
And it's all getting very exciting. There's only 7 episodes in this season. Right? Yeah. So I've got that. I'm getting that sort of halfway through the summer holidays feeling about this now. Yeah. This is episode 3. We've only got 4 left.
I feel like that was the kind of closer to the first half of the season, and then now it's going to pick up a new...
I think there'll be a lot of action to come.
Yeah.
I mean, we can watch
the trailer. Let's watch the trailer for next week's episode.
My only venture at this moment is re-establishing control over this continent and every person on it.
All my allies are gone. I'm losing.
You can count on the Iron Bank as soon as the gold arrives.
Enough with the clever plans.
So, as always, blink and you miss it stuff.
Yeah.
Most of it just doesn't go in.
Flashing.
But you pause it and analyse. So
let's break it down, guys.
Yeah.
Firstly, Cersei with Ironbank Dude, as I like to call him. His actual name is Tycho.
Right.
Played by Mark Gatiss. Talking about how she's going to pay him back.
Yeah.
With all the gold.
Yeah.
Speaking of gold, Jaime has loads of gold from Highgarden in a cart. I think what we see is Jaime with a convoy and then an attack on the convoy.
Yeah, all that swag
with dragons.
Right.
Yeah. With Dothraki. And people have pieced together exactly how the attack works from this trailer, the Season 7 trailer, and there's 2 of those trailers. So you can actually see quite a lot of details, but Daenerys is riding her dragon in the episode.
Great.
Which is quite exciting. Yeah. What else do we see? We've got Bronn with a torch. Doesn't really tell you very much, but... Bronn, he is Jaime's friend. He used to be Tyrion's guard. Remember him? Funny guy.
I'm going to have to admit Game of Thrones defeat on Bronn, to be honest.
You've forgotten Bronn. He's a really funny guy.
Bronn.
Okay, well, you guys remember
Bronn.
Oh,
wait a minute. It's Robson and Jerome guy.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. This is big that he's back.
So he's Jerome Flynn. He's Johnny Flynn's cousin.
He'll always be half of Robson and Jerome to me.
Yeah,
Okay, that's back. This is a welcome return.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bronn.
But you don't really see very much of him in the episode, in the trailer. We've got Pod falling down, Podrick Payne. He's Brienne's squire.
Yeah.
But I don't know, he's at Winterfell, I think. So.
Yeah, he's a little comedy character, really, isn't
he? So I think that's probably just a comedy moment.
Yeah.
We've got Theon landing ashore, possibly at Dragonstone, where he'll meet Jon and be beaten up by Jon, probably.
Nah, why? What's...
Because he killed Bran, or Jon thinks he might have killed Bran.
Right, yeah.
we've got Jon and Daenerys in what looks like the mine of dragon glass.
Yeah,
so the
snogging.
weaponry. No, just walking through for now, but maybe later.
Yeah.
He likes caves, doesn't he? Then
but that was good news for them as well, wasn't it? The dragon glass agreement.
Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that, but that's
big.
Yeah. That's
I think that the timescales seem odd this series though, because like, how long did it take for Jorah's disease to heal?
To heal?
Yeah, it seemed like, it seemed like it was a week ago, and then he's just all fine.
Yeah, well, they got rid of all the weird skin and then put like an ointment on it.
But then, was it magic or? I mean, it seemed to heal too quickly, and I don't think you can set up a dragonglass mine in a few days.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're just scoping it out. Maybe they're not working it yet. But also, time seems to pass in Game of Thrones like weirdly. Like
this is what I mean.
Last week, Euron was. If you might not know the map of Westeros, let's show the map of Westeros right now. So Dragonstone is in one bit of Westeros on the east side. Castle Rock is on the west side.
You know we don't have those graphics like you have on in the weather.
Yeah, we're just drawing it on the map. We'll circle it or something. So yeah, you've got Dragonstone on the east side.
Yeah.
Castle Rock on the west side, and you'd have to go right around the bottom. Right. So between episodes, like he'll have had to do quite a lot of sailing.
Right.
And so will Greyworm.
Right.
Who is also there. So, I think between episodes we can give maybe a month or something.
Right, okay.
I'm not sure.
So those long winters, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's just to make it more dramatically exciting. Otherwise, it's really boring just watching people travel.
Yeah.
We've got Littlefinger's dagger next week. This is the dagger that Bran was almost stabbed with in season 1 after he saw Jaime and Cersei. Right. And then Catelyn found it, I think, and then it got returned to him somehow. But I think in this episode, there was a little point that you might have missed where the Maester talks about how there are records of all the ravens that have come and gone from Winterfell, and there could be one talking about how Littlefinger was responsible, I think. And there's a shot also of Sansa in this records room in the trailer where she might be discovering exactly that. So Littlefinger might be about to... I don't know. Oof. That's wild speculation. And what else do we have? Arya in the snow on her horse, finally reaching Winterfell probably, and Dany riding Drogon, which we've already covered.
I thought the point with last week with the wolves was that the message was don't go back. I don't know.
Possibly. I think, I don't know.
But all that from that just
20 seconds.
Clip.
Yeah.
There you are. That's about it. We need to mention the handsome set design.
Yeah.
We've got here.
I've got a lovely Carl mug here.
I've got this Baratheon mug. I don't know how I feel about that. I think.
Yeah, because that's you get killed by a shadow monster.
It's just no one would choose that house.
Yeah.
Really, but
if you fancy some lovely HBO Game of Thrones swag, go to the
something to do on a wet Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
that's
nice.
Took the work experience quite a long time, didn't it, to do that?
HBO shop is where you can get all this lovely stuff.
And if you didn't follow Larry's big theory, and there was more to it that you couldn't go into,
off the top
click
of my head.
you click on the website enemy.com and you can read the whole of that theory explained, even so I could understand it. There's a blog there, you'll find that today.
Yeah.
Keep checking back for Game of Thrones news, and this show will be back
next.
You'll be back.
Yeah.
Possibly me, possibly someone else. Next Monday.
Who knows?
After the episode goes out. Just an agonising week's wait till the next one.
Yeah. See you next time.
See you next time.